Just left the Agent Focus Group with Humana. They gave us this cool notebook to write notes in, and I wrote a couple pages worth of notes. It was mostly a listening session where they wanted to hear what the competition is doing, and primarily in the Medicare Advantage space. But they did want some feedback on what we think they've been doing right and what we think as agents they've been doing wrong. One of the biggest issues brought up by the other agents in the room, and there were about 10 of us in the room from Charleston here. I'm not sure who all got the invitation, but one of the biggest things brought up about 30 minutes into after everybody got all warmed up and everything was the agents were mad that they were not told about the new Achieve product. That's that partnership between Humana and Integrity Marketing Group with a unique product that all of a sudden does not have silver sneakers. You know, the one that we found out about at the end of AEP, when you can't tell the difference on the CSG quote engine as to which product you're going to have access to. It's just, that says Humana, you go to the e-app, that matches it, so you write it. And it was only after AEP that we discovered those people don't have silver sneakers, even though we as agents had absolutely no idea there had been a change in the product design in order to make the rate cheaper and to give some override to Integrity Marketing Group. Well, they took the blame for that and said that the communication was very, very poor. Because we're in South Carolina, a lot of the focus was on the local market, and they said that South Carolina was actually the first state approved with that product in the whole country. They weren't prepared for it, and by the time it already hit everybody's computer screens during AEP, they had really not been in charge of the communication. They just really didn't communicate anything until after AEP was over with, and by then it was kind of too late to know what people were buying, or in my case, selling. One kind of interesting thing was we had a lady in the room who had just moved to our area from Las Vegas, Nevada, and she said that the Humana Gold Medicare Advantage plan where she's from had a maximum out of pocket this year of $998. $998, a max out of pocket on a Medicare Advantage plan. And she was just floored at the fact that the Humana Gold plan here in South Carolina has a max out of pocket of $6,700. And then another lady who primarily deals with Medicare Advantage said that she wears it as a badge of honor every time she's dealing with someone talking about the max out of pocket. And she says, oh, that's your stop loss, because, you know, in original Medicare, there's no limit to how much money you can pay. This $6,700 is absolutely awesome. Then Jason, the guy sitting right next to me, pointed out that he primarily sells Medicare supplement plans, and he uses the max out of pocket conversation in a completely different light. He correctly points out that the max out of pocket is something that you will probably hit twice if you're experiencing something like cancer treatment in the last quarter of the year. Once that treatment rolls into the new year, assuming everything's approved by the health plan to begin with, that person could be looking at $6,700 for 1 year, and then another $6,700 max out of pocket the next year. And that's a worst case scenario. And then he said he always asked them, how many years of Medicare supplement premium would it take for you to make up for that loss of over $13,000 because of that max out of pocket, as wonderful as it is? So back to the new Humana Achieve Medicare Supplement. It came to my attention this past week, oh, where am I? There we are, that not all agents actually have access to the new Achieve product. As a matter of fact, if you had your contract direct with Humana, and some agents just some agents for some reason feel like they need to have their contract direct with the insurance company. In my experience, that's always been a very bad idea, because you don't have anyone going to bat for you, and the commission's not any higher if you do that. But this agent that approached me last week kept saying, why do I see this inexpensive new product on your quote engine on MedicareAgentTraining.com, but I can't sell it? I go to my Humana login and all I can sell is the value plan, the older plan that costs more. And then he tried to even go to the e-app, and you can't access the e-app on the old plan anymore anyway. So he was flummoxed by that. So it came out today that agents can still continue to sell the old plan, the value plan, and for right now, and they would not commit to this, it was pretty obvious, for right now that value plan, the old plan with Humana, still does have silver sneakers. But again, all they would say is, you know, only 10% of the people out there that have silver sneakers ever actually use it. So why should we keep it? Never answered if they were or not. They also did verify that the old plan, the Humana Value Medicare Supplement, which you still probably will see on the quote engine until it's gone, they said it's not going anywhere. But in order to sell it, you have to submit a paper application. And they're controlling quite nicely the distribution of those paper applications. I don't even think you can download a PDF version of it. I could be wrong. And speaking of lack of communication, one of the agents brought up the fact that here in South Carolina, for a few years, they've had the Humana Dental insurance company. It's called literally Humana Dental, and it's a whole insurance company. Like Omaha Insurance Company is still Mutual of Omaha, but they use that brand, or Aetna used, American Continental because they bought it. Well, Humana had this brand sitting around, a license that they weren't doing anything with, and so in my state and others, they just rolled out a new product on the new paper called the Humana Dental Medicare Supplement. What I didn't really realize was this had been happening a lot. Clients thought that if they bought this plan, especially when you compared it to other plans, they thought that if I buy the Humana Dental Medicare Supplement, then it comes with dental coverage too. And that's actually not true at all. So where people bought the Humana Value Plan, what they thought was the Value Plan, thinking there were silver sneakers during last AEP, only to find out it's the Humana Achieve Plan without silver sneakers. Similarly, people were buying the Humana Dental Insurance Company Medicare Supplement thinking that this one was unique because it had dental. Sometimes even paying way more than the competition. Again, thinking that it had dental included. Lack of communication and clarity there. And again, a lot of the conversation turned to, well, who else is selling in the market in the Medicare Advantage space? What's great about their product? And they talked about this this regional PPO that Aetna has here in South Carolina, and I'm sure in other places, where it's $25 to go to a primary care doctor in the network. I'm sorry, specialist. It's also $25 to go to a specialist out of the network, PPO style. As with all PPO networks, or lack thereof, PPO providers, it's up to the provider whether or not they want to accept the fee schedule, but the agents who are selling the Aetna PPO said that that's never been a problem, and the clients absolutely love the fact that it's $25 both in network and out of network. And for people who are traveling, like RVs full-time, it's wonderful for them. And there's a story about a person that literally had to go across state lines. I believe it was New Jersey to New York for a provider. They were on United Healthcare, and it took 6 months back and forth to try to get approvals for them to see that one provider, where if they were on this PPO type product, it would have been the same copay, whether it's in the network or out. That was kind of interesting. It was in the news recently that Humana has taken some private equity funding and used that to buy into primary care centers. That's a standalone clinic where they have a doctor and a, nurse assistant on staff, and then medical technicians. And Humana's investing heavily in that so that they can keep costs down and encourage their Medicare Advantage members to go there. As a matter of fact, that's where our meeting was held today, and then it just came out in the news. They said that the future is, because dental was a big conversation, and the future is in their mind that these standalone primary care clinics will have, at some point, dentist chairs in there. As a matter of fact, Matt, one of the guys from Humana, talked about one of them that they have in Atlanta, Georgia. It's not a Humana one, I don't believe, but they have 4 dental chairs in their primary care office, and that's pretty neat. So, at some point in the future, that could be a staple of, and he even called it a loss leader. It's just something to entice seniors to come in there, and if they can have a dentist and dental hygienist and assistant on staff all the time at salary, why not? He pointed to the fact that dentists typically work 4 days a week, and there's a severe shortage of dentists that will even work with seniors. I never knew that to be the case, never had that problem with one of our clients before, but apparently this move to a primary care center and also having dentists in there might be some wave of the future. He didn't say specifically that they're doing it, only that they're looking into it, and he believes that's the way they're going to go. So the agents were asked what is good and what is bad about our competition from Humana. And one of the agents said that AARP, United Healthcare, is being really, really aggressive with those home visits that they want to do in order to conduct a health assessment, which in reality is all about trying to get as many codes checked as possible so that they get the maximum amount of reimbursement from the government. They said that they're being like almost Gestapo-like in hounding the people to get those done. And the clients are repeatedly saying, just leave me alone. No. And of course, the health plan's trying to frame it as if it's a good thing, that they really should consent to having somebody come in their house and ask them all kinds of questions and, turn over all this information. One of the good things that they said that AARP is doing is when it comes to agent of record letter. And way back in the day when I did small group health insurance, actually with United Healthcare in Central Florida, gosh, it was a long time ago, an agent could just simply walk into any business and say, hey, who's your group insurance with? Oh, okay, well, how long has it been since you heard from your agent? Here, sign this piece of paper and I'll be your agent and I'll check on you every month and I'll just be your agent of record, and nothing at all changes. So we had agents that would just go around getting agent of record letters picked up from groups and, steal the business right out from under the agent who enrolled it, educated them about it, kept them up to date, all that other stuff. So apparently there's still agents that do that, and they cited a couple of examples, but Humana last year, I believe it was, stopped any agent from being able to do that with Medicare Advantage business. And they were very surprised, Humana was, to find that with other carriers in the market, it's as simple as having the client call into the customer service and saying, I want Chris Westfall to be my agent. And then all of a sudden, Chris Westfall is the agent and no paperwork is necessary. Humana literally said, based on their apparently inaccurate research, that they were the last ones in the market to take away the ability to change your agent of record that easy. Now they said they're going to, give feedback back to corporate that they should revisit that because there are customers that are with them and they're not being serviced because for whatever reason the agents aren't doing their job, and another agent could do it. Look at these deer in our neighborhood. So cute. People put feed out every night and just like dozens and dozens of deer show up. So neat. So anyway, that's basically a wrap of how it went at the Humana Focus Group. And listening to the local agents, I was blown away at the amount of agents who focus on the D-SNP market. It's a dual special needs plan. And those are people who are they're on Medicaid and they're on Medicare, and they can get all kinds of extra benefits on these Medicare Advantage plans, but everybody and their brother is trying to chase that same crowd of people. And they can change their plan every quarter of the year. It used to be you could do it any time of the year you want to, like 365 special election periods you could just change. But now they reduce that to quarterly based on, the company's feedback to the government. And all these agents were talking about how much of a pain it is that here in South Carolina, they've got this community fellowship thing or whatever it is, where every 6 months, both in July and in January, the state of South Carolina can just sweep these people into a different plan, to whatever plan suits them. And they're automatically enrolled in these other plans, unless the person opts out of it. So Humana was saying that they try their best to reach out to the member because they're notified ahead of time that this person's going to be swept out of their plan and swept into another plan. And then they'll be reaching out to the agent so the agent can try to go and conserve the business and keep these people from doing what would have otherwise been a fully automated process, just taken away from you every 6 months. So that was very interesting. And they said, you, the agent, have to be very proactive. When we send you an email saying that you're about to lose your client, you've got to get that client back on the phone, have them call customer service and notify them that they want to be, or Medicare or whoever it was. That's not my market at all. but notify them that they don't want to go into the community plan. They want to stay right on the same plan that they're on now. I've never been real fascinated by that market, and these agents all that were focused on that market, I mean, this is just a personal observation, but they seem to be really struggling, and they're always chasing. One lady made an interesting quote. She said, for some reason, that's just the only people that I can find are the poor people. For some reason, that's all I end up working with. I'm thinking, well, why don't you change your marketing? Why don't you change your approach? Because she's just in the projects, you know, the trailer parks all the time, doing the same thing, chasing these people and then rewriting them, and then AEP trying not to lose them again, and rewriting them and going in the projects, and they can be pretty tough in South Carolina. But anyway, that's not my market. Don't know that much about it, except that they're frustrated, those that focus on it. And that's pretty much the recap of what happened today at the Humana Agent, whatever you call it, Focus Group. And I hope that you've had good experiences with Humana. Didn't get any feedback on whether or not they're going to change the electronic application to be like in the 2000s instead of the 1980s. So far, it's one of the most, if not the most, frustrating application for electronic signature that we have in the market today. It is so antiquated and difficult for the client to sign it on their end. They have to get an email, they have to put their Medicare number in, but don't put your dashes in there. Can't do that. And then you've got to check the box that says I agree, and then put your Medicare number in there one more time and everything must match. Then the thing is signed. But for some reason, theirs just seems way more frustrating than the rest, and their graphical user interfaces, the pits. So hopefully that'll change. It is time to get home, and today we have our grandbaby with us. So we have little Jackson. Nicole and I switched cars. She's driving mine, I'm driving hers, because she was going to take little Jackson around today. So wherever you are, I hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll keep you informed as to anything I learn new about Medicare. Take care. Where are you going, mister? Don't hit your noggin.
I'll just show you the two pictures I got with him today.